Everybody, it's Dr. Joe here, and I hope all is well. A couple of minutes late, but hope you're doing fine. Hope you had a great week. And we've got another great session lined up today, and we're going to talk about due diligence. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, let me see if I can put it on the screen. And we're going to talk about don't skip the details, the importance of due diligence in real estate investing. Before we get into that topic, just a couple of things. First one is that I will be doing a networking event that's going to be scheduled next Saturday in Washington, D.C. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, it's going to be in the what we call the H Street corridor. It's in Northeast Washington. And so please feel free to join me. I'll be there. We're going to, take it to, it's going to be one of my houses, recently completed house here in Washington, D.C. and kind of talk about it. And also time to network and chit chat, meet with like-minded people. I hopefully have a good time. It's going to be on Saturday, June the 17th, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. If you're interested, it's going to be limited seating only, just a limited number of seats. But shoot me an email, and I'll give you the information to register and to sign up. And hopefully I'll see you there next Saturday. So email me at joe@joeasimo.com and for more information and also to get a ticket. It is invitation only, so please come along and so on. So again, we're going to talk about don't skip the details, the importance of due diligence in real estate investing. It's really important. And again, we're going to do a Q&A session a bit later on. My goal these Wealth Wednesdays now is to try to keep it within between 30 and 35 minutes. So we're going to have a Q&A session where you can ask me all the questions that you have. And we'll try and wrap up the education part in about 15 minutes. And then it leaves us about 10 to 15 minutes worth of Q&A. So with that said and done, let's get the show on the road, as they say. You probably heard of the saying, I'm not very good at Latin, but I'll just give it a shot. Caveat emptor, and which essentially means let the buyer beware. When you're buying a house, you don't know what the seller, why. Well, you may know why the seller's selling, but sometimes, and it's been the case that I've purchased. I've essentially purchased other people's problems, and the seller wants to get rid of the house. I'm a motivated buyer. And prior to, in my early years, I really didn't do much due diligence. I even didn't know what due diligence was. In fact, the very first house I bought in Washington, D.C., I bought it from a guy, and he told me all great things. I believed him. I took him at his word. I bought the house and then found out that the reason why he sold it is because he wanted to get rid of all his problems. He had problem tenants, problem house, problem financing, and all that stuff just went on to me. And so that's the reason why it's really important that if you're going to do real estate investing, that you take the time to conduct what I call due diligence. So, so I suppose it begs the question is, what does due diligence really mean in the concept of real estate investing? In short, due diligence means investigating the facts, the physical and also the financial conditions of the property, and also look into the area where you are purchasing this property, because that has a lot to do with it. As we all know in real estate, it's all about location. Where you buy is extremely important in terms of your end game. Whether you can sell the house, whether you can rent the house, and so on. So due diligence is doing the research about the physical condition, the financial condition, and also information about the neighborhood or the area which you intend to purchase. And a good way to look at due diligence is essentially doing your homework before you make an offer, and also doing your homework after your offer has been accepted. So whether you're a new or seasoned or intermediate investor, whether you're purchasing a single family, whether you're purchasing a multi-family, the notion of due diligence, is important for all of those things. And depending on where you are, it could be a very detailed process. It could take a lot of time, or it could be a very simple cursory process where it just takes you a few minutes. Obviously, with experience, maybe you can reduce the time it takes to complete your due diligence, or how motivated you are to buy. But if you're new, then I would say that it's really important to take your time and do the details, because you don't have the systems, the networks, the experience to overcome some problems that could have been solved if you had conducted some due diligence beforehand. So, so that's what we're going to do. And so the question then becomes is, how does the due diligence process actually work? And, in most contracts, whether it's an MLS contract or whether it's a personal contract, the one that you created yourself, they do allow some level of due diligence in there as a standard. It could be 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, or whatever. It's defined into the contract. This is not always the case, but in a lot of the contracts, there is some level of due diligence that you can put in place. And sometimes the clock starts ticking in terms of due diligence when the contract is actually executed between the buyer and the seller. That's when the clock starts ticking. Typically, that's when it happens. In some cases, the due diligence period starts when the contract is actually, not the fund, I suppose. An escrow account is created and money is deposited into the escrow account. That then allows you the due diligence period to perform whatever it is that you need to do. So obviously, you can negotiate the time for that due diligence period between you and the buyer. If you need extra time, you can negotiate that. If you don't need extra time, then obviously you can make it short. In terms of single family houses, especially when the market is competitive, when the market is hot and it's competitive, then if you have a long due diligence process with contingencies all over the place, then your offer may not be that attractive. So so you kind of have to understand the market, understand the dynamics of where you are, and then in terms of what you feel should be a reasonable due diligence period. Now, if you don't perform during that time, then you stand the chance of losing your security deposit, and losing your money. So it's really important that you include enough time there to actually, complete your due diligence period. For example, I know when I bought a house in Washington a couple of years ago, in fact, where I bought the house. Well, I put it under contract, and we had I said I could close within 20 days, let's just say. And for whatever reason, we couldn't close in time. So it was like 3 days before the end. And then we asked for an extension from the seller because time was running short. And the seller, realized that he had the contract price too low. So they refused to do an extension. In fact, we were going to lose our deposit if we didn't close within 3 days. So our due diligence period was taking too long, and we're about to lose our deposit. And so we had to close in 3 days. And unfortunately, I was able to close that particular deal in 3 days, get the financing together, and so on. I used a hard money lender in that situation. But, that's the importance of, if you don't close, you stand a chance of losing your EMD, your earnest money deposit. So it's really important that you, if you feel like you can't perform, then make sure you have some contingencies in the contract that allows you to get out without losing your EMD. So, when you're dealing with income producing properties, rental properties, and obviously there's a lot to consider. In addition to the physical condition, you also got to look at the financials in terms of whether you can cash flow, how much cash flow you're going to make, and all those different things. So let's talk about the process, or the way I want to put it is that there's do some due diligence that you can do before you write an offer, okay, or before you really go start looking for deals. You need to do some due diligence about, and I'll break that down to two areas. One is called do some due diligence about the area and the neighborhood which you intend to purchase. Okay, so you want to know, the dynamics of that neighborhood, the population and the job growth. Is this a market which is growing or is it decreasing? Are people moving in or people moving out? What's the median income level for that particular area? What's the percentage of owners versus renters? Sometimes, especially if you're buying in single families, you may want to be in a community whereby most of the people actually own their own homes as opposed to a rental community. Sort of the vacancy rates for your area. Is this an area whereby it's relatively easy to find tenants if you're going to rent it out? Or is it a place where it's going to be difficult? And that's obviously linked to job growth and whether that people are moving in or people are moving out. Property value trends, me, I'm into appreciation. So I want to buy something in an area whereby it's likely to increase in value. So you want to get some idea of what's the trends historically of your area. You may be interested in neighborhood schools and ranking. What's the schools like over there? What's the crime statistics and so forth? So these are area and neighborhood analysis. And then the second part is what we call pro forma financial analysis, which is if you got a rental property, you want to kind of do some numbers, project the financials in terms of the income, the vacancies, the cash flow that you're likely to get. And so for planning purposes, you'll know whether this area or this particular scenarios is going to make sense or not. So there's some financials, pro forma. Pro forma is sort of estimates, I suppose. It's sort of projected financial statements that undergirds this particular property that you intend to purchase. So things like the gross rental income, things like, are you able to get income from other sources? If it's a multifamily, it could be parking space, it could be laundry facilities. There are other ways where you can generate some income from the asset. Vacancy, credit losses, expenses that you're incurring due to leasing, property management. That's something, repairs and maintenance, property taxes and insurance, and contribution to capital reserve, what we call capital expenses. So these are things that you can do some pro forma projections on a typical property in your area that you're interested in, and therefore get an idea whether it makes sense to invest there or whether it doesn't make sense. So this is stuff that you can do before you put a project under contract. And then the next thing is going to be, well, there's some due diligence that you can do after your offer has been accepted. Because once your contract has been accepted, then in many cases, that's when the clock starts ticking. Okay. And you need to close by whatever it is that you say is in the contract. It could be 10 days, 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, whatever it is. So what kind of things do you do during that time? Physical inspections, that's one. Physical inspections are when it's all about the property, the physical characteristics of the property. You may want to do a home inspection. The home inspector will check out the roof, the electrical, the heating systems, the foundation. Home inspection can look into those things. And don't forget, we're going to have a Q&A session shortly. So please put your questions in and I'll try to answer them, as much as possible to the best of my ability. So don't forget to put your questions in the chat box and I'll try to get them in a few minutes. So we talked about also don't forget is that we do have an event on next Saturday, June the 17th in DC between 11 and 1 p.m. It's a networking event which I'll be hosting at one of my properties in Northeast DC. It's in the H Street corridor. So if you're in the DC area, feel free to stop by. In order to get a ticket, it's invitation only. It's shoot me an email at joe@joeasimo.com, joe@joeasimo.com, and I'll send you a link where you can register for the event. So again, next Saturday, June the 17th, between 11 and 1 p.m. It's an open house networking event at one of the properties which I currently own. Kind of talk through that project, talk through the life cycle, how I found it, how I fixed it up, tenant selection, and also this is going to be a rental through the DCHA, through the Section 8 process or program. So I'll talk about that as well and share with you some of my experiences, lessons learned. Also, we'll be just networking, meet with like-minded people. Okay, so we talk about post-offer. This is stuff you can do after your contract is been accepted. The first thing are physical things you can do. And next, the other one is going to be the financial. What are some of the financial due diligence that you can do as well? What did that include? Includes like if it's a multi-family that you're buying, if it's a rental property that you're buying, you can request the financials from the seller, the profit and loss statements, which shows, for at least for the last year or two, which shows the inflows and outflow of monies for that property. You can review the, the seller's tax returns for that particular property and what they reported to the IRS. For the most part, most people don't lie about, they don't overemphasize their income, and they usually don't underestimate their expenses. So that's usually a good way, because everybody wants to pay reduced taxes. And the best way to do that is to underestimate your income and beef up your expenses. So your tax returns are a really good way. You use your tax returns as a basis for cross-referencing to make sure this person, actually the seller, is actually telling the truth in terms of what they're providing, information they're providing you, and what they are reporting to the IRS. So you want other information like the current rent roll, who lives there, how much they pay, when do they move in, and check the leases out. You want to check the leases for expiration dates, deposit amounts, any agreements that they have, especially any unique, agreements like discounted rents in exchange for work or in exchange for some kind of consideration. Sometimes they have pets. So you want to know, do they have pet agreements? Are there, stuff in their contracts that monies that they've paid, which you're now responsible for reimbursing? You also want to get an idea of the repairs that are performed on the property, either on a regular basis and especially capital expenses, major expenses. If there's any contracts like maintenance contracts, leasing contracts, landscaping contracts. You want to know about that. You want to know about property taxes, how much the taxes are for this property. Are they increasing, decreasing, and so on? And then you want to kind of compare what they gave you with what you uncover to make sure that, the numbers match up. So that's some of the things that you can do. This is really important, especially if you're buying multifamily and you're taking that away from somebody, or you could be really taking on somebody's problems if you don't do the financial due diligence to make sure that what they're telling you is in fact what their books say. There are also some legal issues and loan issues that you may want to consider as part of the due diligence process. There may be your house may be part of the HOA, Homeowners Association, so you may want to look at the homeowners HOA docs to make sure that you're in compliance, that you are allowed to rent the property. If you want to do short-term rentals, that the HOA allows you to do that, or a condo association allows you to do that. Many people have been surprised. They've purchased a home with the intentions of renting or to intentions of doing some short-term rentals, and they find out after the fact that the rules don't allow them to do that, and now they're stuck with this property which they either can't rent or they can't really execute the strategy or the exit strategy that they originally wanted to do. So there's some legal stuff that you want to consider. You want to understand the financial strength of the HOA, homeowners association. You want to check their profit and loss statements. That's important because I know that for I think it's FHA has some rules in terms of if they can provide financing for properties in certain communities if the HOA or the condo association is doesn't have their books in order. So you may want to check that out. You want to make sure that you can get insurance on the property, hopefully, and make sure that the appraisal is is going to be what you expect it to be. So these are some of the legal stuff that you can do. The next thing is that there's some disclosures, seller disclosures, that a seller is obligated to provide you as part of the due diligence process. Most contracts, the seller has to disclose if there are what we call material facts and defects with the property in writing. So there may sometimes you call it a disclosure statement, which the seller provides you. They have to acknowledge that there's something wrong, or to the best of their ability, there's nothing wrong with certain things, whether it be the roof, the electrical, the heating system, the plumbing system, and so forth. So there's certain disclosures which the seller has to provide you, and certain things that they have to tell you, in terms of I don't know, is there something wrong with the house? Is there something that you should know about the neighborhood that may affect your decision? So they have to disclose that to you. And, and also there's some sort of home buyers disclosure. You have rights if you're buying a property, in terms of if you discover something during the due diligence process, as long as you have the contingencies in there, it does allow you to either walk away or you can demand that the seller fix whatever that problem is. And obviously, there's certain things that the seller can do. If there's something wrong with the house, they could obviously fix the house. If there's something that the seller can't do, I don't know, a noisy neighbor, pets from hell, dogs from hell, or there's a noise pollution plant that's going to be in the neighborhood. There's nothing really the seller can do, but they're supposed to disclose that to you if they're aware of that. And then you have the ability, if you wanted, to continue with a contract, or if necessary, you walk away. So these are some of the rights that you have. And, you should exercise those rights if you can, especially if it does allow you to get away from a bad deal, because you don't want to just pursue a deal if it's going to be a bad deal, and then you're going to, essentially lose money. So, so these are some of the things that you can do in as part of the due diligence process. Hopefully that was helpful. We're going to go down to Q&A in a second. So if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I will get to them any second from now. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is that the purpose of performing real estate due diligence is to really make sure that you're getting what it is that you're paying for. And in the real estate transaction, you're not being hoodwinked, you're not being duped, and you don't have, buyer's remorse and so on. So just one second. And, if you don't like what you see, you try to negotiate those terms and conditions of the purchase. And if necessary, you have to walk away if it doesn't make any sense. And hopefully you'll get your money back. And hopefully you'll live to see another day. And hopefully you'll go on to the next deal. So hopefully that was helpful today. It's now 7:26. I'm trying to keep the Q&A, sorry, the Q&As, the Wealth Wednesdays to around 30 minutes. So I've got a couple more minutes left to do. So again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box and I'll try to answer them. So put them down there. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up today because I've got a few things I need to do. So again, before I wrap up today, I want to say about we do have a networking event this or next Saturday, June the 17th. between 11 and 1 p.m. One of my properties in the Haight Street corridor of Northeast Washington, D.C. It's going to be a great time. Be some, some refreshments. And if you got some questions about real estate, it's a great time to, to engage with like-minded people. And also it gives me a chance to, to meet you and for us to break bread and talk about real estate. And if I can help you out, answer all your questions, please attend. Shoot me an email, joe@joeasimo.com, and I'll provide you a link to the event. And it is invitation only. It is tickets only. So you're going to need a ticket in order to get in. And it's going to be one of my houses and recently housed. And we'll kind of talk about the deal, the good, the bad, the ugly, and also some of the lessons learned. And also you'll be able to get a chance to network with like-minded people. So with that said and done, let's see, I got a couple more minutes. Let's see if I got some questions. First one is from, let's have a look. Hopefully that's pronounced that. Dow2. I have a raising rent question from last week's topics. I have 2 properties that are rented out below market rate. Okay. Let's have a look. Keep going. I could get double the rent for each house. Oh my goodness. So the question you have, Daho, is what do? You have 2 properties that are rented below market and you like to get more rent. So the first question I'll ask you, Dow2, is are you under rent control where your property is located? So that's important, because if you're under rent control, it means that you're limited to how much rent you can increase it by, or even if you can increase it by. So that's number one. If you are under rent control, then the jurisdiction that you're in may limit how much the rent increase can be. It could be 1%, 2%, 5%, 8%. I don't know, but you have to comply with that, because if you don't, then technically the tenant could file a grievance against you and disqualify all the rent increases that that they paid. So that's you're in rent control. Next thing is you obviously, if your rent is significantly less, which it sounds like it is, than what you could get, then you may be allowed to give the tenant a 30-day notice. A 30-day notice to vacate, or whatever your lease says. You give them a 30-day notice that you could be in a state where you don't have to give a reason. Some states you do, like in Washington, D.C., you can't just put somebody out. So again, I don't know which state you're in, but you may be able to just give the person a 30 or 60-day notice, or whatever the notice requirements are where you are. And then, hopefully they'll leave. If they don't leave, then obviously it's what we call a holdover. And then you're going to have to go through the legal process to get that tenant out. So that's another option you could do, is to give them a notice of rent increase, and then you can state how much that rent increase could be, and it's up to the tenant at that point, whether they want to stay or not. I caution you, Dato, though, based on experience, is that if you got a good tenants are worth their weight in gold. And so you may not get maximum rent, but if you got a good tenant, sometimes it's worthwhile to just keep a good tenant, especially if they intend to stay a long time. Because if they do leave, you're going to have turnover costs, which could be 1, 2, 3 months of lost income. And that lost income will take quite some time for you to recoup it. So again, I'm not going to, say one way or the other. But yeah, if you want to increase the rent, then do what you got to do, as long as within the law, it's within the laws of where you are, and hopefully, the tenant could decide, well, I love this place or love these places, I'll just pay the new rent. If they do, then you're good, and if they don't, then obviously they're going to leave, and then you're going to have to go find another new tenant. Let's have a look. You said, I know that neither the current tenant can afford. I know that neither the current tenant can afford the current market rent based on their move in their move financially. So yeah, so if you jack up the rent, then you're probably going to lose both tenants. So it's going to you're going to have 2 vacancies, and which means you're going to have 2 lots of cleaning, painting, cleaning, painting, advertising. You know, you're going to have turnover costs, and which can be hefty, but that's the downside if they decide to leave. So I'll leave it up to you. If both, you say also that both our tenants are good, so think hard, Dao, and hopefully you'll make the right decision. Okay. Let's have a look. Good morning. Hey, Marlon. Hope all is well. And nice talk to you during the week. And hopefully I'll see you, I think, next Saturday at the event. So, I'm glad that all is well on your side. Okay. Kim James Sounds. Dr. Joe, I sent an email 2 days ago for the event. I haven't seen a reply from you yet. I apologize, Kim James. I'll look at my emails again. I don't check my emails very often, but I will check it, and I'll definitely send you the invite, King James. I apologize for the oversight on my part. Okay, James and Myra. Oh my goodness, you guys are putting me to shame. So yeah, send me an email and I will respond with a link. I apologize. It's been a crazy week. I saw a house yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to buy it or not, but maybe I'll tell you more about that next week. Okay, my due diligence is what's during the due diligence. I'm not too sure if the numbers make sense or whether it's for me. So again, thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up in a second, but before I wrap it up, again, we have a networking event June the 17th, next Saturday, between 11 and 1. Shoot me an email at joe@joeasamoah.com, and I'll get you more information. Again, for those people who have, I apologize. I'll respond probably tomorrow and send you the information. I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody. I haven't really had an event for a while, and it'd be a great chance to kind of touch base, see how everyone's doing. I can answer some questions about real estate. We can talk shop, and you can also network with like-minded people. So hopefully you get time June the 17th between 11 and 1 p.m. Next Saturday. Shoot me an email at joe@joeasamoah.com, and for more information and the tickets as well. So with that said, my friends, I think we got one more question. Let's have a look. Here it is. And Dow 2, I received a HAP contract nearly for a 3rd property, but it said they will mail the payments to me instead of ACH. Do you normally do ACH or mail payment? ACH, definitely. You want to do ACH is electronic payments. I don't like checking the mail stuff. ACH is automatic. It's guaranteed. There's a paper trail. And I thought that most housing authorities nowadays are electronic payments as opposed to mailing by checks. But if you have a choice, definitely you want to go with the ACH or electronic payments versus the physical mail and so on. So congratulations on the HAP contract. Congratulations on on your deal, and I wish you the best, Dow 2. Thanks for all the questions you have. So I'm going to wrap it up today. And again, I hope to see you guys next Saturday. And if not, I'll be here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Another great topic on Wealth Wednesday on YouTube. So with that said and done, my friends, have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you later. Take care. Bye for now.